And welcome everyone to Beyond the Forecast. This week, we're going to be focusing on National Boater Safety Week. It is getting warmer, should be getting warmer across northern Michigan and starting to get the boats ready to go out and enjoy the waters. But are the waters ready? What do you need to know when you start getting ready for boaters season as well as warmer temperatures and jumping in lakes? Well, that's what we're going to tackle this week along with our weather to go along with it. So first up, we're going to be jumping to meteorologist Haley Fischetti, and she is going to break down what you need to know and remember as we head into those warmer weather conditions and our lakes. I then turn around and give you fun facts about our Great Lakes as we prep for this week and what you need to remember, and then we'll also have a podcast breakdown for you at the end of the show. So it is going to be a fun week involving our Great Lakes, involving our weather, and what you can expect across northern Michigan when it comes to the Great Lakes and our weather. All right, so let's jump in first to this day in weather history. So this day in weather history, May 19th, 1989, thunderstorms developed along a cold front spawning 10 tornadoes for Illinois to Tennessee. Now on the backside of this system, that night, wind, snow, and cold developed in the Rockies and Montana. Dixie, Idaho got 9 inches of snow. Chateau, Montana saw winds near 90 miles per hour, and Crater Lake, Oregon dropped to 11 degrees. That's a massive system. One end of that system giving you 10 tornadoes in Illinois and Tennessee. The backside of that system is giving snow, wind, and cold. Whew, May 19th. Man, that's wild. All right, so Friday, trivia time. We asked you, true or false, fire whirls, firenadoes, are real. That's actually true. So how this all works, it's not a Hollywood-driven thing. So when you have wildfires, think about what it takes to develop a whirlwind or a tornado, right? You need a lot of updraft. You need that lift. And in wildfires or fire in general, heat is rising. So when you have that heat rising and then you have a crosswind, you start getting that mixture or that rotation. So yes, with that massive amount of heat, you start getting this vorticity of fire. And that's where you get firenadoes from. Firenadoes. So that is true. All right, next one. Today, we want to know, what is the coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth? Is it negative 250 degrees or 250 degrees below zero, 110 degrees below zero, 129 degrees below zero, or 205 degrees below zero? So this is all Fahrenheit. This is not Celsius. What is the coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth? Hit that QR code. Use your phone where you can go to log your answer. And we will have that answer for you tomorrow. Now, viewer photo of the day, brought to you by Great Rooms, as always. Today, we got a picture from Jim Hilbrand, who sent us an absolutely gorgeous picture of a crabapple blossom right after a rain shower. Jim, this is an absolutely stunning photo. Do appreciate you sending that in, and thank you to Great Rooms for sponsoring viewer photo of the day. All right, let's jump into Boater Safety Week, shall we? First up, meteorologist Haley Fischetti talking to us about the Great Lakes and the inland waters and what you need to remember about those waters as we are prepping for boating season. We'll have more details on that coming up right after the break.
Welcome back to Beyond the Forecast. This is meteorologist Haley Fischetti, and today we are talking about boat safety, water temperatures, kind of everything you need to know as we're heading into the summer months. Now, this week is actually National Boat Safety Awareness Week, so throughout the week, us at Beyond the Forecast, we're going to touch upon some things you need to know as we get into the boating and beach really season. Now, here's some things you need to know to have on your boat. A lot of us, I know we had that nice weather last week, starting to maybe get the boats out, the pontoons out, starting to clean it up a little bit, getting really excited to hit the waters. But you got to make sure you have some of these things on your boat. Making sure, of course, you have life jackets. That's very important. Any young kiddos not great at swimming, making sure you're always wearing a life jacket. Everyone really should be wearing a life jacket as you head out into the waters. A fire extinguisher, also very important. You never know what could happen on the boat, especially if you have maybe a grill or cooking, or if anything were to happen, a fire were to start. You want to make sure you have a fire extinguisher to properly take out that fire if something were to occur while you're out on the waters. And then a distress signal. signal. Now, if something happens where you are far away from shore and you need help immediately, that's going to be your best bet, especially as you start to lose service out there. That's going to be helpful for Coast Guard for you to get the Coast Guard's attention or any bystanders. With that, also just having a working radio that could help, or a way that you can communicate on the mainland as you head out in your boat. Now, as a lot of us are talking about maybe swimming in the waters and enjoying that boating season, it's not ready just yet. Here's a look at those current water temperatures as you're heading out today. We had really nice temperatures last week. Some was seeing 70s and 80s. Quickly dropped this past weekend, and now we're left with really cold temperatures. We're talking 40s right off the coast, so right off the shoreline for areas in Petoskey towards Traverse City, low 40s as well near Manistee and Ludington. These are very dangerous temperatures. All the Great Lakes, Lake Superior as well, upper 30s as you head over towards the Sioux. These are not temperatures you want to swim in at all or spend long periods of time in there. We really need to wait to see steady, warm temperatures as we head into the summer months. Got to remember, we're still not in summer yet. We got to wait until June to really start seeing those really warm and consistent temperatures. And that's why, just here's some things you need to know when it comes to water temperatures. We have to wait for those warmer temperatures. We're talking we need to wait for 70s, 80s, and 90s consistently. The past couple of weeks, what's been happening is we've had 70s and 80s sprinkled into those 50s and 60s that we are normally seeing around this time of year. On top of that, your lows have been actually pretty cold, dropping into the 30s and 40s, and that's been keeping your water temperatures very chilly this time of year. So we need to wait for your lows to stay on the warmer side, more in the 50s, some 60s, and your daytime highs to warm up. That's going to help us bring those water temperatures up as we head into the summer months. Now, if you do find yourself in these types of waters, these types of conditions, you want to make sure you're limiting the exposure of it. If you have to do a quick jump in and then walk out, you don't want to be swimming in these periods for a long time. I know those 80s and those 70s feel nice when we do have them, but these temperatures are still way, way too cold for you to be enjoying them just yet. So making sure you're limiting that exposure. And on top of that, of course, staying safe. We talked about wearing a life jacket before, but also maybe making sure you're wearing a wetsuit if you are to go out on the waters, staying warm, making sure you keep your body heat if you can, if you were to go out in these waters. And these are just a few little tips that we have. Now, throughout the week, we're going to be breaking down more boat safety and also talking to officials around the area that will give you more information as well. And you can find that all on Beyond the Forecast.
Thanks, Haley. Now, coming up next, we're going to go over some fun facts about the Great Lakes. We'll have that right after the break. And welcome back, everyone, to Beyond the Forecast. I know, usually we have something going on, whether we're in the kitchen or the green screen or something else. I've brought you over here today because we're going to talk about fun facts about the Great Lakes. It is Boating Safety Awareness Week, and that is what we're going to be covering here on Beyond the Forecast throughout the week. And we heard from meteorologist Haley Fischetti about the importance of getting ready for our lakes and waiting for our lakes because those temperatures are still very, very frigid. And usually it's not until the beginning of June-ish that we start seeing lake temperatures get into the 50s, and that's still dangerously cold. You have to wait until we get into really late June when summer actually arrives and we start seeing those overnight lows more in the 60s and those daytime highs more in the 80s. But let's talk about the Great Lakes. Fun facts about the wonderful home that is the Great Lakes for us here in northern Michigan. The total area of the 5 Great Lakes is more than 94,000 square miles. That is larger than the states of New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, and New Hampshire combined. That is how much area our Great Lakes have. Only Lake Michigan is entirely within the United States. The other 4 Great Lakes are also bordered by Canada. So, Lake Michigan, which for the western half of the Lower Peninsula and the eastern portions of the eastern UP, is the only lake which technically is not cut off. So Lake Huron and Lake Michigan are technically one lake, but because of the Mackinac Bridge and the Straits, Lake Michigan is the only lake that is completely in the United States. If you want to get real technical, Lake Huron, which is one lake, Lake Michigan connected, isn't in the United States completely. The Great Lakes are home to about 35,000 islands. Did you know that? And did you know that Isle Royal An island in Lake Superior has a lake of its own that has an island of its own that has a lake of its own. Fun fact for you. Chicago is the largest city located in the Great Lakes. The Great Lakes make up 95% of U.S. freshwater supply. 95%. It also brings water to 40 million people in the Great Lakes. So that's kind of a huge statistic. 95% of the U.S. freshwater supply is right here in the Great Lakes. Only 1% of the water in the Great Lakes system is replenished each year. The remaining 99% is one-time gift from the melting glaciers. Great Lakes coastal wetlands filter water, provides homes for wildlife, and help prevent erosion. So there's many purposes for the wetlands. They filter the water that we see, provide homes for wildlife, and help prevent erosion. Big things right there just from the wetlands alone. Not the lakes, just the wetlands. The world's largest freshwater dunes lie on Lake Michigan's shoreline, the Sleeping Bear Dunes. There you go. The largest dunes, freshwater dunes in the world. Lake Superior is the largest, coldest, and deepest of the 5 Great Lakes. On average, the depth of Lake Superior is 482 feet. Lake Erie is the warmest and shallowest of the 5 Great Lakes, always first to freeze, always the first to warm up. Lake Ontario is the smallest of the 5 Great Lakes, but second coldest. Lake Huron has the longest shoreline of the 5 Great Lakes, and that's because it does have a little more inlets and it does go a little bit farther west. In May of 2004, President Bush issued an executive order recognizing the Great Lakes as a national treasure. I actually did not know that. The Great Lakes contains 250 different species of fish. Since the 1800s, more than 160 aquatic invasive species have become established in the Great Lakes. About 120 bands of native peoples have occupied the Great Lakes Basin over the course of history. Lake Huron was the first of the Great Lakes to be discovered by European explorers. About 10% of the U.S. population and 31% of the Canadian population live in the Great Lakes Basin. The Great Lakes provide drinking water for over 40 million people, as we told you before. About 80% of the U.S. Great Lakes shoreline is privately owned and not accessible to the public. Did you know that? In contrast, just 20% of the Canadian Great Lakes shoreline is in private hands. Big difference there. The Great Lakes are considered by many to be the economic engine of the Midwest region, and about 40% of the Canadian, 15% of the U.S. gross domestic product originates within the Great Lake Basin. So yes, you learn about them growing up because we're in the Great Lakes region. As a kid, I can honestly say I did not hold as much love for this state and this region as I do now. What we have is actually very, very amazing in many different ways. As a weatherman, I can tell you the lakes add a different variable, many different variables, to your forecast every day. Michigan is one of the hardest spots in the world to forecast for, and that's because of what the lakes do to the atmosphere and the surrounding areas. That is one reason why our viewing area from Newberry all the way to Midland has 4 National Weather Service offices, 4 different zones, and about 4 different types of weather for each zone each day. The lakes are pretty amazing, and they've been here for so long. They've been so low, they've been so high. They've frozen completely over. They've been the warmest they've ever been just a few months ago. So it's pretty crazy to see and think about just how much that water means to this state and this region. It's pretty cool. So as you're getting ready for the upcoming summer season, remember some fun facts about the lakes. Impress your friends, but at the same time, maybe you learned a little bit of something. We'll have one last segment here on Beyond the Forecast coming up right after the break. And welcome back, everyone, to Beyond the Forecast. Now, we've been doing podcasts here for the last several weeks, and last week we didn't have a podcast. We were very busy in prepping for some things that are coming up here for Beyond the Forecast in the next 2 weeks, actually. So we're going to throw it back to one of our podcasts, kind of showing you and highlighting what we do with these podcasts, because they are live streaming every Tuesday at 10 a.m. We're on the Beyond the Forecast Facebook page, the 910 News YouTube channel, and you can interact and discuss with us the topic for that week. And this week, we're obviously going to be talking about Boater Safety Week and the weather that surrounds our Great Lakes. So we're going to be talking about that this week. But let's jump into one of the old podcasts and show you how these kind of work. Check it out.
Very.
Like, that's kind of like what it sounds terrible to say. It was very on theme.
Right.
The fact that we just kind of ended our severe weather week,
Right.
and this was the first weekend, felt very like, oh, this is. We just talked about this. With the rain, with the snow, with the freezing rain, with the cold temperatures, the warm temperatures, the fast-moving winds, that is a recipe for an unstable atmosphere if you can have one. And that's exactly what happened just to the south of us, really.
There was no more of a definition than Sunday when it comes to an atmosphere that was not happy or settled.
Exactly.
So we saw those concerns with severe weather, and we had one tornado in our viewing area.
Yes.
That they just
County.
confirmed this morning down towards Croton.
EF0?
EF0 with 65, 70 mile an hour winds. And then down throughout the rest of southern Michigan, central lower, they had quite a few tornadoes. I think Gaylord or Grand Rapids said they had 5 confirmed.
I believe so.
But there was a lot of warnings. And that was Sunday afternoon. So
Yeah.
Sunday afternoon, I was sitting here working on Beyond the Forecast. And Joe walked in, and we just got a severe thunderstorm watch. What up, Sean? More tacos soon. Exactly. I'm talking
Yeah.
about a watch, right? Taco watch. We went to
Yeah.
Taco Watch. And then I was like, okay, well, I don't foresee anything getting this far north.
No.
And then all of a sudden, we went into taco warning. We're going to demolish these tacos. So we have tacos, and
Yeah.
I was looking at it, and all it was wind. And so I was like, okay, Michigan State's on, and I don't want to bust into the game for a severe thunderstorm warning. We'll throw up the cycler. We'll throw
if anything gets too crazy,
Facebook
you're ready to
and all the
go.
stuff, right? And then literally within 5 minutes of not even 5 minutes of the severe thunderstorm warning going up, they issued a tornado warning. Now our policy,
And that's game time.
and that's game time for
Yeah.
me and for our team. And for our policy, it doesn't matter where at in our viewing area, fringe or not, a tornado warning, we are going to break in and be with it from start to finish.
100%.
And if there was a good thing with this, it was the halftime of
Yes.
the basketball game.
It was, yeah.
I was like, this isn't going to be up very long, but I need to get in and I need to prep people, save people's lives if they're in the way. And when I popped up and started talking, there was two immediate spots of velocity and rotation that I was like, I need to focus on these. These are in our viewing area.
Right.
And that's where I stuck to. Showed a little bit of the line otherwise, but there was definite signature of
Oh, yeah.
rotation. If not, tornado could be on
I
ground.
mean, I was home watching it,
Right.
and I could see it on being like, oh, there it is. That's what's happening.
So ran through the tornado warning, kept everybody prepped and safe. For those that were in Montcalm County, southern Mecosta County, they did reach out and they did say asked, "Can I come out of my basement now?"
Yeah.
I was glad that we were to be able to reach those people. Now, a side note, we reach 36 counties.
Yes.
So we go all the way up to the Lake Superior shoreline, all the way just south of M46. It's
Right.
not a huge portion of M46, but that is how far our signal goes.
But it's a portion.
It's a portion. And that includes northern Montcalm, northern Gratiot,
Newaygo County.
southern Newaygo County. Those are the fringe areas, but we
Right.
are on TV there. We have viewers there that write into us every day
Exactly.
and send us emails.
And for a lot of people, we were getting, obviously, people saw comments. We got a lot of comments of being like, oh, Grand Rapids will handle it. I don't think people realize the true scope of like what viewing area covers what viewing
Right.
area.
Grand Rapids had 4 other tornadoes to cover.
Exactly. They're focusing on other tornadoes that are a little bit more of an impact because sounds terrible, but that area, the Montcalm County, the Newaygo, southern Newaygo County, you're kind of in the gray. You kind of just hit us and you just hit Grand Rapids.
It's like Isabella County. Isabella County is almost in the gray because NEM and Flint stations are a little bit too far away that they might cover. Now, I'm not saying meteorologists will say we're not going to cover this, but
No.
that you're getting farther away, and we take that out of the.
So you go. Beyond the Forecast live streaming podcasts. It's a lot of casts. But you can catch those every Tuesday at 10 a.m. and we'll have a new one. live tomorrow. So thank you for being here today. We do truly appreciate it, as always, here in Beyond the Forecast. Hopefully you learned a little bit of something, and hopefully you return tomorrow at 4:30 in the afternoon to do more fun, science, and weather. For meteorologist John Gross, meteorologist Haley Fischetti, I'm Chief Meteorologist Michael Stevens. Thank you for being here with us today. We do appreciate it. We'll catch you tomorrow. Be good, stay safe, take care. We'll see you all Tuesday.